Okay, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a good turkey. And this next video was requested by That Nerdy Girl, and it is Accolay's Violin Concerto in A minor. And if you don't know who Accolay was, he was born the same year as Brahms was, 1833, died 1900. And I like to think of this piece as more of a classically weighted piece, meaning not too much of that romantic stuff. And romantic stuff that I think of is, wide vibrato, kind of more rubato type stuff. Sorry, I keep using the word stuff, and that's not a very descriptive word. What I mean is phrasing. The phrasing is in romantic periods is very warm, very full. It gives the performer a little bit more rubato, a little bit more freedom to express themselves outside of the bounds of the music, whereas I think Accolay's piece is a little bit more contained, where the composer has a little bit more control over how the piece is played. And so maybe I'll just try to demonstrate what I mean, and hopefully it'll make sense to you. I also apologize for any of the equalization that will happen with dynamics because of my camera. So watch my bow and see where I'm playing in the bow and how much pressure I'm adding, or how much weight I'm adding. And let's begin. I have never really played this piece before, so I just took about 20 minutes and played through a little bit of this first page. So hopefully it'll be mostly in tune. So the opening, before you come in, the orchestra has these moving triple eighth notes and quarter notes, and then right before you have a rest, then okay, sorry, I'm going to stop there. I only have the first page in front of me, so I'm going to have to turn it eventually. But what I'd like to do during this video is explain to you what I'm doing, because I think that's something that you don't really get very often in a YouTube video, is a performer who plays professionally stopping and saying, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. So let's go back to the beginning. In that opening passage, I find that the easiest way to do it is if you just start your bow moving at a certain speed and keeping it at that speed, so that all of those notes get used up by your bow during that one thing. So watch my bow, watch how consistently it moves speed-wise. Okay, so all of that string crossings, if you haven't watched my string crossing video, I would advise you to, but I'm using my elbow only, so okay, so leading with your elbow. Okay, and then it's really easy after that. So keep your bow speed the same, consistent through that whole stroke, that whole down bow. And then at the very end of that stroke, I'm increasing my speed just slightly. Here. Then I can get into that C. So I'm kind of moving into that high C up bow. And you see how much bow I used on. Okay. Now the trick here is don't get yourself caught on that up bow. Don't speed through the down bow, the next down bow, or you're going to run out of bow. So let me show you how it's done incorrectly. Uh-oh. Okay, so not enough bow. So okay, so I slowed it down as soon as I got to that down bow, the second down bow. Yada. Okay, and the only places I'm really doing anything special is, let's see. The only swell I really put in there is at the very end of that passage, where what I'm doing is I'm doing a little bit of a swell, so it's kind of like the bow speed starts out like really slow. So let's see, how can I explain it better? Coming out of this up bow in very slow motion is you see what I'm doing? I'm starting my bow very slowly and speeding it up and then bringing it back down again. Same thing with my vibrato. Okay, my vibrato speeds up and then stays pretty quick, whereas my bow speeds up and then slows down. Okay, pretty tricky to do. It's kind of like that exercise you do when you rub your head and pat your stomach and then you switch them, that kind of thing, and just keep switching them like that. I can't do it very well, but it's that idea. So you're switching between those two, technically speaking, so that your bow is doing something different than your fingers, and that's how I achieve that opening feeling where it's very smooth. It's here I am. I'm playing the solo now, and then the next phrase. Okay, very similar bow thing where you start off at the same speed on the whole way down the down bow. Okay, and just by the nature of the notes, the first passage, you see how the notes are descending, so it gives you that feel of da 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 da. It's like, okay, there's something else coming here. Kind of a, oh, well, there's a response coming next. And then here, you see how it goes da 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 da. It's going up, up, and then coming back down. So it's the first one is saying, okay, well, there's something else coming. This one is saying, oh, well, okay, this is what's coming, but maybe there's something more coming. And the next passage on the double stops, I like to think of this as, or at least this is what occurs to me, as dignified. It's a dignified passage. It's saying, oh, okay, well, this is, I think of like a king walking into the room or something. You can think of whatever you want, but in contrast to this sort of question-answer, yearning, searching, reaching for something. You're reaching for a question or an answer or something. And then suddenly, so it's a hint of major key, whereas this whole thing beforehand is in A minor. Okay, so it's kind of uneasy, and then when this comes in, that B natural is very important, because if it was a B flat, I mean, that doesn't really give the same dignified feel as a. And then it goes back into. Okay, it goes right back into that minor feel. Okay, so now where I am on the middle of the page. Now I'm going to rely a little bit more on bow speed, whereas in the beginning I told you to start with a very consistent down bow. Now I want you to do a little bit more. A little bit more of a bow speed push and pull. So I'm exaggerating some of that. So and what I want here is for it to flow. I want the tempo to keep rolling forward, because if you slow it down too much, or if you don't push it a little bit, sounds very square, very robotic. But if you add a little bit of that push and pull, now Not too much, mind you, because we don't want to throw the orchestra off, and we also want to preserve that feel of, it's kind of a classical feel to it. Okay, so now you're ending this phrase, and then suddenly there's something extra attached to the end of the phrase. Now, not too much in the beginning, so you'd want a diminuendo off that D to the C. Start off a little bit softer, and build. Okay, here we go. And I'm pretty sure I just ran out of time on this tape, so I'll just make another video, I guess.